Welcome, patrons, paysans, benefactors, to our second Overflow episode where we look at things we had to cut from the main episode, which is, basically, our meat and drink. But we've found that the fringe politics is just absolutely overflowing with news and weirdness. So this is where we are now. So basically every week we'll cut something out, not because it's not relevant, not because it's not pertinent necessarily, but because we don't want to do a 3-hour Joe Rogan fucking babble.
Exactly.
And so we put them aside and then we write around them for our precious patrons.
It fucking sucks choosing the topics, actually, because I'm always wanting to cover something and there's always some sort of gossip that I have to cut out because of brevity. But look, here we are. In this situation, I've probably said this before, but let's say it again. I'm going to edit this very minimally, and the script is super loose. So this is a more raw version of the conditional release program where we let our guard down, the ums and ahs are staying in, awkward pauses, all that sort of shit. If we say something stupid, maybe I'll edit it out. But we're generally just going to talk about the comings and goings of the ridiculous freedom movement and just what's happening and their general taste for chaos and violence this week, I suppose.
Yeah, look, it seems like the ante has been lifted up a little bit. Just, when you just thought it was bubbling away to a very sort of dangerous level, it's just gone up again.
It just keeps going
up. I
up.
wrote about this on Friday at The Australian, where I described this movement as a cult and likened it to the cult in Dallas. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But
Yes.
Joel, give us your take on where you are. You used to be into Australian politics. You used to follow them like a disciple.
I tell you what, I used to listen to Question Time on the radio in the car. I used to genuinely give a fuck about Australian politics, checking it all the time. Now, things have changed dramatically. All I ever read or watch or hear or listen to is some flog with an Instagram account or on Rumble threatening politicians with death or saying something about fucking COVID mist. And this is... It's ridiculous because it's completely warped my worldview because when you think about it, I did a fucking degree in government and political economy at Sydney University. And now, it's like, no, don't worry about that. I'm just going to look at these idiot anti-vaxxers and their basic takes on QAnon theory. So being fixated on this reality TV show train wreck is not only a bit of a sad distraction into the more irrelevant parts of life, but it's a waste of a qualification. So look, when it comes down to it, these assholes are just out there to make a name for themselves and stop you from making good personal choices. They're the Jehovah's Witnesses of the conspiracy world. And it's time to look at this movement for what it is. At the end of the day, it's violent. It's been a big month or so of really violent ideations and fucked up actual behavior from the protest movement.
Yeah, that's not to say that everyone in the movement is violent.
No.
But what we're actually saying is that people within this movement fall into it, get radicalised, and they can be at these rallies or they stay at home and sullenly doom scroll through television.
Or watch Ruction's bloody streams.
And just become more and more violent. And we're seeing a lot of episodes.
And no one calls them out.
Yeah,
they say shit about hanging politicians. They don't call them out.
In media, there's an argument that they're just actually kind of lovely people and it's a family day out,
Good people on both sides. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Look, on the lighter side, we have seen the casual death threats swirled around. I mean, they're just everywhere. I mean, basically everywhere. You cannot look at Telegram, Instagram, anyway, from wherever these people dwell and not see death threats. I mean, they're just everywhere. And of course, we've seen gallows on the backs of utes, and everyone just seems to think it's pretty normal.
Yeah, totally. And look, the left have loved a bit of a sort of gallows humor as such, where they'll talk about beheading the rich and blah, blah, blah. But there's always a bit of a humorous sort of bent to it. This is not funny at all. These people are saying, I'm so angry, we should get guns. We need to kill these people and send a message. No one ever says that on the left. No one ever says we are actually going to go and kill these people. No one ever says we need to arm ourselves and murder people in positions of power. They'll say eat the rich. They'll say, hang Jeff Bezos. But none of them are serious. When you look at the sort of discourse on Telegram and the way it materializes into the bow and arrow guy or the guy in fucking Windang or whatever the fuck that was, I mean, this shit materializes.
Yeah, look, that's before the courts at the moment. We need to be a little bit cautious about that. But
we'll leave that today.
Yeah, overall, it would seem that the search of his premises
it wasn't great.
some material there that puts him right in the midst of one of those dangerous individuals.
You wouldn't put any of that on your CV. You know, when you
Yeah,
get out of jail, you wouldn't say, by the way, they found this at my home. Would you like to employ me?
yeah. Well, it's alleged swastika or Nazi flag, alleged child exploitation material,
Yeah,
etc.
not good. Not
Always, yeah. Anyway, look, yeah, and that's social media. And then imagine what it'd be like working for a politician, working for a crossbencher in Victoria, or working for the chief minister in the NT,
yeah.
or the WA Premier, or indeed down in Victoria. Just imagine what life would be like.
It's fucking mental.
I
They're
mean,
terrified of wearing their ID tags to work.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't be identified as a staffer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, the Chief Minister in the NT, Michael Gunner, held a press conference, and he certainly hasn't been the only political leader who have done so, where, he sort of tearfully said that, he'd received threats that his own children were going to be put in graves.
Yeah, like save the children, except yours. We're going to kill your one because we don't like you. That's insane. You don't get to pick and choose the kids you save. You either save the children or you don't.
Yes.
It's just insane.
So we had NT Police Commissioner Jamie Chalker respond to that.
That was really good, actually.
Said the threats against Mr. Gunner and his family, as well as other politicians, were being taken very seriously. You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
There's multiple investigations, and we're undertaking. We'll continue to do so. Commissioner Chalker said, once we make a criminal benchmark, you can be very reassured that we will take action.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So Commissioner Chalker was saying the investigations were complex because the threats that were being made were by people interstate and overseas, which doesn't mean they're not credible. It just means they're jurisdictionally sort of compromised, which is kind of funny because let's face it, a few of these guys are knocking back a few Carlton drafts because that's definitely the anti-vaxxer beer of choice. I'm just throwing it out there.
Dude, that is not true.
Oh, straight to the Hague, huh? Yeah.
That is not true.
Yeah, look, I put that in the script and you had plenty of time to delete it, so sucked in.
It is just not true.
Sure.
Look, I'll tell you why it's not true, because they're not allowed in pubs.
Yes, well, that's it, yeah. And let's face it, out of a bottle or a can, no one's doing that.
Well, the rest of us community-minded people can sit back and sink a Carlton draft straight out of the tap.
Brewery fresh, apparently. But the thing is,
go on.
When it comes down to it, you've got these people who have possibly, after, let's face it, more like a couple of glasses of goon, thought they got away with it because they've gone, oh, hold on, I probably should have threatened the NT Chief Minister, but I haven't got a phone call from the cops yet.
Children. Yeah.
And then the fucking commissioner's like, oh, no, we've got jurisdictional issues, but we're on it. And you're like, oh, so I could be arrested within the next month. Okay, cool. So I hope they're fucking sweating. I hope you are sweating because you agents of chaos need to know that this is not okay. And I really want to see some scalps. Real scalps.
Consequences. You're not fucking 8, you people. Actions have consequences. So on Thursday, as the federal parliament closed for the year, Greg Hunt retired as health minister. I mean, it was time for his valedictory speech. Of course, he'd continue to be health minister until until the writs are sent out and an election is called. And he made a valedictory speech. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But he also, so it's just both sides of the divide. He also in October held a press conference where he talked about and tearfully talked about the threats that he'd received to his family. One of the points that he did make in his valedictory speech, which is a beautiful thing, by the way, was just that how he had almost become a sort of stranger to his own family. So politicians feel this acutely, and then to find that their children have become wrapped up in death threats and threats for their own
safety, I suppose.
Yeah, and threats for their own safety. I mean, and in the wake of that valedictory speech, look at Telegram, people posted it for me there. It was the usual boastful garbage, hangings, lynchings, the old twisted Nuremberg obsessions. Everyone, we can't wait to start hanging people. Fucking freedom movement. Very angry, very broken people. And some, at least we know, may go beyond ideation.
Absolutely. It's not beyond thought that people are going to start doing something. I mean, the amount of stuff I saw about Hunt being hanged by these people was just crazy. And all you had to do was just search for Hunt in Telegram, and bam, you've got all this insanity. Apparently, this is a great hot take from one of them. The Maxwell trial is happening. So Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's mate who basically trafficked kids for him.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah. Ghislaine off my case. So basically, she was being, sort of questioned, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be like things under oath. And apparently, lots of pedophiles are jumping ship now because she's going to expose them all. Come on. What a fucking pathetic sense of grandeur. No one gives a fuck about Greg Hunt. Greg Hunt could be fiddling kids from 9 to 5, and Maxwell's not going to give him up because she doesn't know who he fucking is. He doesn't exist on the world stage. And yet these little fuckers are like so self-important they think that our health minister is going to be a part of some sort of Epstein exposed. Come on. Get a fucking grip. Anyway, obviously Greg Hunt isn't a pedophile. That's a ridiculous thing to say. But that's what these people think. They think everyone they disagree with is a pedophile. So,
yeah, well,
and of course, when it doesn't come true, they just move on to the next thing. They don't give a fuck. Their attention span is in milliseconds. So is mine.
Yeah, look, you're seeing very angry people